with Coach Hogan, and we are going to give a little segue into the playoff game by going back in time. And we wanted Coach Hogan to spend a little bit of time talking about some memories of the past 11 to 12 years here at Faith in regard to the football program, and some things that resonate with you over the years that have had a great impact and fond memories.
My fondest memories are people, the kids, and big games. We've had some open floor Thursdays where kids have gotten up and walked to the center of the room and just poured their heart out, just weeping over something that's happening in their lives, and they trusted that environment enough to do that. And people just rushed to the center of the room. Really, the Lord has moved in that locker room lots of times. So obviously, without going into specifics, I remember lots of those times. They're just going through my head right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, big games. I received an email this week from Mark Gaston, who was reminding me of a 10-year anniversary of the first playoff win in Faith history against Tyler out in Wills Point. And he just said, hey, here's the 10-year memory. And he's a former player. He played on that team. He said it was a great moment in his life. I remember in 2005, the first undefeated regular season, going over and knocking off Southwest Fort Worth, the #1 ranked team in the state then. Week 10, Waco Riker, 2007. Week 6, 2008, Nolan Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of cool road trips in between. Playing Hyde Park in 2005, in the playoffs at Groesbeck, making a trip to San Antonio in 2011. And then I can't even say the trips without thinking about all the names that go with it. So just, it's mainly kids and games is what I remember.
And then leading up to this year, this is a relatively young team that you've got this year. Tell me some of the keys that you've seen this year that have kind of held this group together and seen them get to this point.
Well, it's their maturation point process, and then learning how to be a team. The turning point was in week 6. Our open floor in week 6, the voices stopped sounding like a bunch of little teenagers trying to find themselves around the room as kids spoke. They started to sound like young men, talking about the same thing. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to be a certain place, but they were like really young, talking in real general terms. And in week 6, that open floor, they started saying the same things about the same things, and then the right thing about each other. So it's almost like a transition. I watched them go from boys to men, and now their language is changing. So the maturation process is the thing that I'm excited about the group.
Most rewarding. That's great. This year in particular, was that when you felt like you knew the team had gotten it, or was there a point before that time that you saw maybe potential of them getting it?
I think we saw potential even at the very beginning of the season, because you just look around and we're pretty talented, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We're beat up a little bit, and we've had some serious injuries with Ben and RJ and a couple of kids getting banged up. So you always saw that potential. But I think in week 6, that day is the day I said, you know what, we're thinking right now. Because you can be pretty talented in thinking wrong and not be able to execute.
Right. And then one last question for you. When the last game here, when did it hit you as far as the sentimental part goes?
The week before.
Week before.
It wasn't the game. I walked around all week long out on the field, just tearing up a little bit, actually. I mean, it's 12 years in the same place, with many faces, but that same Bermuda grass has been here for 70 years. So
that's a great line. I loved hearing the 70-year line. It was great.
Yeah.
And then one last thing going into tomorrow night, expectations for you and the staff. What do you guys see as it plays out? What has to happen to go right? What do you expect?
Austin Regents is real disciplined, so they won't beat themselves. They generally don't turn the ball over. They generally don't have penalties. I mean, they're almost never penalized on any of the game tapes that I've seen. So with Austin Regents, you have to go beat them. The good thing is, I think we have enough firepower to go get that done, and I think our kids expect to win.